Welcome to third part of lecture number 9. In this part we will discuss some regulatory structures, canal regulators. Okay, these hydraulic structures are required to keep the flow of water in irrigation canal regular. Okay, to regulate the flow of water in the irrigation canal. So one of the most important canal regulator structure is fall or drop structure. That is an hydraulic structure, that is an irrigation structure which is constructed across a canal to lower down its bed level or to maintain the designated slope when there is a change of ground level. So there is a change of ground level, then we have to maintain our design slope which we have designed for the best suitable cross section. So this falling water at the fall has some surplus energy. See, if we will have some specific slope which we have designed, that is called the designated slope, yeah, that is called the designed slope. So we have to construct our canal according to that required design slope. But for example, if sudden changes occurred in the ground elevation or abrupt changes occurred in the ground elevation, then either we will have to completely provide some earthwork, we will have to fill up this area which will require a huge earthwork, or the cost of the construction will be increased. Or secondly, we have to construct the canal according to the earth slope condition, so which will be different than the designated slope. Okay, and if we design the canal according to the earth slope condition, the earth topographical condition, then the velocity will be increased and the hydraulic characteristics of the flow of water will be affected. Okay, now to keep the water now to regulate the flow of water in the canal, first we will have the irrigation canal according to our design slope, then we will provide a type of drop, then we will have the our required slope, then we will have the drop. So this drop structure or this fall structure is actually provided. This is actually provided to we can say that to break out, yeah, to maintain the design slope when there is abrupt changes in the ground level. Okay, so let's see. A fall is an irrigation structure that is constructed across a canal to lower down its water level and destroy the surplus energy which is liberated from the falling water which may otherwise cover the bed and banks of the canal. See, for example, this is our designed slope. You can see this is our designed slope, and this one is the earth condition. This is the actual slope of the earth. Okay, so see, we have two solutions. Either we will have to do some heavy earthwork and we have to completely fill up this location so that the we can say that we construct the canal according to our design slope. And secondly, either we can construct the canal according to the earth condition. So if we design the canal according to the earth condition, then the velocity will be increased and heavy scouring or erosion may be occurred. So for that purposes, we are just constructing here the drop structure or the fall structure. So that is the structure which is controlling the velocity, which is controlling the hydraulic flowing characteristics of the water, which is regulating the flow of water. So that is a type of canal regulator. Okay, now you can see that if natural ground slope is a steep, then the designed bed slope of the channel. If the ground slope is steep, then the designed bed slope. The difference is adjusted by constructing that vertical falls. Okay, that is just simple. A type of step, a step is constructed, a drop is constructed, so the water will come into here. And again, here some proper construction will be required, some reinforcement will be required, some concreting structures will be required, so that the water which is falling here, it will have some high kinetic energy, or the hydraulic jump will be created, or it will have some surplus energy, so that surplus energy will be properly utilized or dissipated. Okay, so these falls or these drops are also called as a we can say that these are also called as the energy dissipator. Okay, a drop is a natural canal bed will a drop is in a natural canal bed will not be stable. See, if we have a type of unlined canal, okay, if we have a type of unlined canal, then drop structure will not be recommended, because due to the high kinetic energy here, a heavy erosion or scoring may be occurred. Okay, so which will cause a heavy depression at this area, and the canal may be affected or the canal may be damaged. Okay, so the drop in a natural canal will not be stable. So in order to retain this drop, a masonry structure will be constructed, a concreted structure will be constructed, and such structure is called canal fall, or that is called a canal drop. Okay, and see here you can see that this one is a type of natural drop, which is naturally available in the we can say that in the natural stream or natural rivers. Okay, and this one is the man-made drop. Here you can see that a proper type of concreted structure has been constructed, that the water is falling down from that upstream portion to the downstream portion, and this structure is actually called the drop structure. Okay, so proper banks will be constructed, and here you can see that proper type of stilling basin is constructed, so that the kinetic energy of the falling water may be properly dissipated, and if there is hydraulic jump is created, so that its impact has been reduced. And see in the old ages, the ancient people, when there was no concept of the fall structure or the drop structure, so the people were dissipating the energy by increasing the flowing path of the irrigation canal. See, actually what irrigation canal is doing, they are breaking the velocity, they are dissipating the energy, they are reducing the slopes. Okay, so if a canal have high velocity, or if it has high flowing we can say that pressure, so that will be reduced. For example, if we in place of, suppose this is 1 point and suppose this is 2 point, if directly we are flowing the water from this 1 point into another point, so there will be some energy, and it may we can say it may cause some damage. So in place of directly allowing the water into this downstream portion, if we carry the water, see, if we carry the water through this zigzag path and we increase the length of the canal, and here then we allow it into the downstream area. So see, due to this zigzag and this increased length of the canal, the friction will be created, and that friction will responsible to dissipate the excess energy. You have to dissipate that excess head. Okay, so that energy will be dissipated. So ancient people were using this concept. Okay, and what is the necessity of the canal falls, that why we are constructing the canal falls, why we are providing this regulator structure? So remember, when we are designing the irrigation canal for a prescribed slope, see the S which we are determining in the Lacy equation or the Manning equation or the we can say the Chazy equation. Okay, so that S is his specific relationship with the velocity. For example, when the slope of the ground is changing, then obviously the velocity will be disturbed, and if the velocity is disturbing, then the discharge or the quantification of the water will be, we can say that, disturbed. Okay, or other flowing characteristics will be disturbed. For example, if slope is changing, slope is steeping. Okay, so if the slope is changing from a mild slope to steep slope, the velocity will be increased, and salting and scoring will be occurred. So we have to keep the slope uniform. We have to maintain the designated slope throughout the length of the irrigation canal. Okay, so now see, if we look into our based on the experience, or if we look into the different designs, so most of the canal have the slope from 1 in 4,000 to 1 in 8,000. Okay, and if we look into the natural topographical condition of earth, so mostly the slope of the ground is 1 in 200 to 1 in 50. Okay, so as compared to this 1 in 4,000 and 1 in 8,000, this is a very steep slopes. Okay, see, this will be the ground slope, and this will be your designated slope. Now the ground slope in nature is always very much steeper than the designed bed slope of the canal. So when the ground slope is suddenly changes, or if it is steeper, then the permissible bed slope cannot be maintained and require excessive earthwork. Now that is one of the solution, that either we provide here heavy earthwork and we provide filling to this area, so that to maintain the designated slope. So what will be the disadvantages? Construction cost will be increased, and the canal will be constructed too much above from the earth surface. Okay, and in this case, sea falls are provided to avoid the excessive earthwork. Okay, so that is one case, that to provide the felling to this area, so the canal will be too much high from the ground surface. Now to avoid that condition, we will have to provide the fall. And second solution is to design the canal along the ground slope. So as compared to 1 in 4,000, if we design the canal and 1 in 200, so what will happen? it will have very high velocity, and if the velocity is increased, then possibly, then obviously the silting and scouring will be caused. So in this case, falls are provided to avoid that excessive earthwork in felling and dissipate the excess energy liberated from falling water. Okay, so when the slope of the ground is more or less uniform and the slope is greater than the permissible bed slope of the canal, then the we can say that the fall structure will be required. Okay. And secondly, most importantly, as we have also discussed in the cross drainages work, that for example, if we have a natural drain, okay, if that is a natural drain, or for example if that is a natural stream, and here we have an irrigation canal, okay, here we have an irrigation canal. Now remember, when the full supply level of irrigation canal is lower than the bed elevation of the drainage, then it will easily pass, then the canal will be easily passed under the drain. But if the full supply level of the irrigation canal is a little bit above from the bed elevation of the drainage, then we have to provide here a drop structure, mean the canal will be siphoned below the drains. Here we will have to provide a drop structure so that to reduce the elevation of the full supply level, then we will have to fast it under the natural drain, and again then we will have to raise it into its required downstream bed level. Okay, so here again a fall structure will be required. Okay, so when the slope of the ground is more or less uniform and the slope is greater than the permissible bed slope, fall structure will be required. Secondly, in cross drainage work, when the difference between the bed level of canal and the drainage is small, or when the epicel of the canal is above the bed level of the drainage, then the canal fall is necessary to carry the canal water below the natural drain. Okay, so here a fall structure will be constructed. Okay, for example, you have for example that is the irrigation canal, its full supply level is above than the bed level of the natural drain, then we will have to drop the water below the canal, below the drain. We will have to fast it, and again we will have to raise it into its natural downstream level. Okay, so here a drop structure will be constructed. So that is the necessity. Now see, we have different types. Based on the ground level condition and based on the shape of the fall, there are various types of the fall structures. Okay, so first one, that is the ogee shaped. Here you can see that this is the upstream side, this is the downstream side. Now that is the difference between the two elevation which we have to cover with the help of the fall structure. Okay, which we have to cover with the fall structure. So in this type of fall, the gradual convex to concave, here you can see that convex to concave. Okay, two surfaces are formed, that is called the reverse S, that is the ogee shaped. Okay, this type of fall has gradual convex and concave surfaces. Okay, in the ogee form, the gradual convex and concave surface is provided with an aim to provide smooth transition and to reduce the disturbances and impacts at the downstream area. Okay, and a hydraulic jump will be created. Here you can see that this risings and falling this type of water, that is called the hydraulic jump. So a hydraulic jump is formed which dissipate a part of the falling kinetic energy. Okay, upstream and downstream of the fall is provided by stone pitching. This is called the stone pitching, mean the bed which is provided. Here you can see that that is called the stone pitching. Such type of pitching is provided for the stability and more strength of the structure. Here we have a concrete bed, then we have the stone pitching. Okay, both at the upstream side and the downstream side. Second, we have the rapid fall. Here you can see that this is the upstream side, this is the downstream side. Okay, and here you can see that that is the difference between the two, between the upstream and downstream side, which we have to cover with the help of the fall structure. So when the natural ground level is even, okay, when the natural ground level is, you can see that that is a uniform slope, that is an even slope. Here we have abrupt changes. Okay, and this type we have a uniform or even slope. So this type of fall is then suitable. It consists of, you can see that it consists of long sloping glacis. Okay, and here you can see that the curtain walls or these foundation walls are provided at both the upstream side and downstream side. Okay, and here you can see that that type of rubble masonry. Okay, they are with cement grouting is provided from upstream curtain wall to the downstream curtain wall. Okay, this is called the rubble masonry. Again, such type of stone pitching is constructed, and they are grouted with the cement concrete. Okay, they are grouted with the cement. Okay, both from the upstream to the downstream side, and masonry surface is finished with a rich cement mortar. Okay, mean the surface is made from the masonry with the strong cement composition. Okay, then we have the stepped pall. Again, here you can see that is the upstream side, this one is the downstream side. So this is the difference between the two levels which we have to cover with the help of the pall. Okay, so it consists, here you can see that it consists of a number of steps. It consists of a series of vertical drops in the form of steps. These steps are suitable in places where ground is very long and require a long glacis to connect the higher bed level, to connect the upstream with the lower bed level downstream. Okay, either we can construct it like this one, so it will a long slopy glacis. Okay, so in place of this construction of long slopy glacis, we are constructing these stepwise drop structure, which is called stepped pall. Okay, brick walls are constructed. You can see brick walls are provided at each drops here. Yeah, this is the brick wall, a type of curtain wall or type of foundation wall is provided at each drop. Okay, the canal bed within the pall is protected by rubble masonry. Again, these layer of the masonries are provided with the surface finishing by rich cement mortar. Okay, rich cement mortar mean bed is, we can say that the floor, yeah, the bed of this palls are, we can say that mortar is applied into this thing by with strong cement, with rich cement composition. Okay, next type is vertical drop. Here you can see that this is the transition from the convex to concave. Here we have abrupt changes, we have a type of vertical fall. Okay, see, that is the upstream side, that is the downstream side. Now this is the difference between the two level which we have to cover with the help of the pall structure. And here you can see that water cushion is provided, stilling basin is provided. So the water which is falling from the upstream side, it will have high kinetic energy, or the hydraulic jump may be created, so that energy will be dissipated through this water cushion. That is called the vertical fall. Okay, so in shape very similar to the oogie. The shape of this one is similar to the oogie pall, but without having variation in construction is gradual convex to concave. Mean here we have the changes from convex to concave, and here we have abrupt changes. Here we have direct fall. Okay, in other words, an abrupt change from upstream to downstream occurred in this thing. Okay, and a cistern is provided, a cushion is provided to act as a water energy dissipator. Okay, but this is not suitable for high discharge, and that can be used up to we can say that for 15 cubic discharge. Okay, and that will be suitable when the drop is 1.5 meter, because if the drop is greater than 1.5 meter, or if the discharge is more, then heavy kinetic energy is created, and again it causes here high turbulences and may damage the structure. Okay, next type is the straight glacis. Here you can see that is similar to the, we can say that rapid fall, but here a type of crest is provided. Then we have straight glacis. Then again here cistern or cushion is provided, and that is a downstream area. Okay, so this is the downstream, this is the upstream. That is the difference between the two slopes which we have to cover with the drop structure. Okay, so it consists of a straight glacis. It consists of provided with a crest wall. Okay, for energy dissipation of flowing water, a water cushion or a water cistern is provided. Okay, again here we have the curtain walls, we have the foundation type walls. Okay, to at the start point, at the toe point, and at the heel point. And also the stone pitching is provided both at upstream side and downstream side with the rich cement mortar. Okay, and the surface is finished with the rich cement mortar. These are also sometimes constructed by the reinforced cement concretes. Okay, we have the full trapezoidal notch fall. Here you can see trapezoidal notch. This is the, see, these are the side views, and this is the cross sectional views, trapezoidal notch fall. And this one was invented in 1894. Okay, the body or foundation wall across the channel consisting of several trapezoidal notches type. Okay, mean the body or the foundation wall across the we can say that the channel or across the canal are consisting of several trapezoidal notches between the we can say that the side piers at both sides. Okay, and intermediate piers. We have intermediate piers and side piers. Okay, and across the canal we have these we can say these trapezoidal type notches. The body wall is made of concrete. Okay, mean the body walls is made of concrete, and impervious floor is provided here to resist the scouring effect of the falling water. Okay, next we have well or cylinder notches. Again, here you can see that for example, this is the upstream side, this is the downstream side, so that will be the difference which will be overcome by a fall structure. Okay, so in this type, water up canal from higher level is thrown in a well. Here you can see that thrown in a well to the downstream area. Here a well is constructed, a cylinder type, a fall type is constructed. So the water here is entered into this well and come out here. Okay, so in this type, water up canal from higher level is thrown in a well or a cylinder from where it escapes from bottom. Okay, and energy is dissipated in the well in turbulences. They are suitable for low discharges and are economical also. Okay, just through this well the water is conveyed from this upstream level into the downstream level. Next one, we have the glacis type pole. Okay, again these are a little bit same, the glacis types, and then we have two types, Inglis or Beppel and Montague type pole. Okay, Inglis type fall, or this is also called the straight glacis. Mean mostly this one and this one is same, but only there is the difference of the energy dissipation. Here Beppel blocks or impact blocks are constructed, and here we have the cistern. Okay, so here glacis is a straight sloping glacis, and but Beppel wall is provided in the downstream floor for the dissipation of the energy. Okay, and main body of this glacis is made from the concrete, and again here stone pitching or stone masonries is provided. Montague type pole, again here we have some parabolic surface. Okay, the main thing is the energy dissipation in the fall, that when you are dropping the water from the upstream higher level to the downstream lower level, so there will be the creation of the hydraulic jump. Yeah, there will be some high kinetic energy. So how you are dissipating that energy? So we will have to play with the structure of the fall. Okay, so in the straight glacis type profile, energy dissipation is not complete, and here therefore Montague developed this. Montague, that was the name of the scientist, he developed this type of profile where energy dissipation takes place. Okay, so that was all about the we can say that the canal fall structures. Now we have the canal outlets. Again, these are this is one of the canal regulators, which is allowing some control and regular amount of water from the state-owned canal to the privately owned structures, privately owned conveyance system. Okay, see, an outlet is a hydraulic structure conveying irrigation water from a state-owned distributory or a miner to privately owned water courses. As we have already discussed that, for example, we have a natural river, so here we are taking the main canal, then we have the sub-main canal. Okay, then we have the major distributory, we have the minor distributory. So up to here, that is the state-owned property, and after the minor distributory we are taking out the feed channel or the water courses, which is under the control of the farmers. So this, at this point, when the water is entered, when the water is conveyed from the state-owned property to the farmer-owned property to the private-owned property, this point is called the outlet structure. Now, how the required water will be regularly, properly, effectively and efficiently diverted. Okay, so again here a type of regulator structure will be required, which is called the irrigation outlet, which is called the canal outlet. Remember, again here we have the main canal, here we have the sub-main canal. So this point is also an outlet from the main canal to the sub-main, and that is an inlet for the sub-main from the main. Again here we have a structure which will take water from sub-main canal to major distributary. So that is a type of outlet from sub main to major distributary, and it is a type of inlet for major distributary from sub main. Again, here we will have a type of structure which will take the water from major distributary to minor distributary. So that is the outlet from the major distributary towards the main distributary or minor distributary, or that is the inlet for minor distributary from major distributary. But in irrigation we are only considering this point, which is taking water, which is conveying water from the state owned distributary to a private owned water course. Okay. The outlets are large in number as compared to other irrigation structures. See, based on the shape of the canal, that either the canal is triangular or trapezoidal or rectangular, which one is the shape of the canal, but based on that different shapes, and also based on the discharge requirement, we have different types. We have different types of the canal outlets, and the outlet is a sort of head regulator. See, that is a type of head regulator for the water course or for the feed channel, and its maintenance is the responsibility of the farmer. That, for example, if there is any damage occur, or if there is any if there is any damage, or we can say that defect in the canal outlet, so the farmer will quickly or immediately they will report into the irrigation department. Okay. See, this is the irrigation canal, this is the distributary, major distributary and minor distributary. So some specific amount of water is diverted into the feed water course. Okay, and if we look into from that side, so this is the structure. Okay, that is the irrigation canal, that is the distributary, minor and major distributary. The water is entered into the water course, so this is called the irrigation outlet. Here you can see that the irrigation outlet, the water is diverted into a specific feed channel, from one feed channel to another feed channel. Okay. See, these are the different requirements. Being an irrigation engineer, we must have know about the different requirements of the canal outlet. That the outlet should be strong enough and be without movable parts. Now here you can see that this is the movable part. Okay, if we keep it here, so the water from this water course has been completely stops and the water is diverted in this direction. So this is the movable part. So such type of outlet will be designed or constructed that there is minimum number of movable parts. Okay, tempering by cultivator should be readily detectable. Mean, for example, if there is any damage occur or wear and tear occur or tempering of the these movable parts occur, so it will be quickly and readily detectable and will be maintained by the farmer or by the irrigation department, so that the losses of the water may be avoided. Okay. The outlet must carry its fair share of silt. Remember, for example, if we have this distributary, this is the major or minor distributary, here we have to take out a feed channel, here we have to take out a feed channel. For example, here we have a water course, for example, here we have a water course. Okay, so there are 4 irrigation outlets. Okay, now see what is the concentration of silt in the irrigation water in that minor distributary. So that concentration will be equally divided and will be equally introduced into that feed water course. Okay, see, if the silt is not introduced, if the silt is not entered into the feed channel, what will happen? The silt will deposited in these distributaries and its efficiency will be affected. So the silt which is coming with the irrigation water, it will be uniformly distributed. The outlet will have such a capacity that it will take its fair share of silts from the distributary, and then that silts are we can say transported into the agricultural area. It should be able to work with small working heads. Okay, means sometimes some outlets are unable to take water at low head in the major distributary. Okay, so such type of canals will be designed that whatever the head of the water is in the minor distributor or major distributary, but the outlet will take its required amount of water. Okay, I mean it will not depend on the heads. It should be simple and the construction will be easy. The total cost of installation and maintenance should be minimum, because in every project we are dealing with the economical consideration. Okay. Now see, there are different types of the outlets. We are not going in detail of these things, but broadly we have 3 types: the non-modular outlet, the semi-modular outlet, and the modular outlet. See, for example, if this is the major distributary if this is the minor distributary, and here we have the feed water course, or here we have the feed channel. So at this point we will have to divert the water, we will have to convey water from the field, from the distributary into the feed channel. That is called the outlet point. Okay, now see what is the total energy of water in the feed channel. What is the total energy of water in the distributary, for example, that is H1, that is the head of the water in distributary. Okay, what is the head of the water in the feed channel? What is the total energy of the water in the feed channel? That is H2. So the difference between these two is, for example, delta H. Okay, now see, if the quantification, if the discharge of water which is conveying, which is passing through the irrigation outlet, if that discharge is depend on the difference between the heads. Okay, when the discharge which is entering into the feed channel from the distributary, if that quantification is depend on the difference between the water level of distributary and water course, then it is called, we can say that then it is called the non-modular outlet. Okay, see, it is one in which the discharge is depend upon the difference of head in water course and parent channel. Parent channel is the distributary. Okay, and see, when the discharge is only depend on the head in distributary, then it is called the semi-modular. See, when the discharge is depend on the difference between the heads of the two channels, mean the water course and the distributary, then it is called the non-modular outlet. And when the discharge is only depend on the head of the water in the distributary, then it is called the semi-modular outlet. And when the discharge is independent on the water level, mean whatever the elevation, whatever the head whatever the head is of the whatever is the head of water in the distributary, or and whatever is the head of the water in the water course, the quantification, the diversion of water, the entry of water will be constant, that will be uniform. Then such type of outlet will be called the modular outlet. It will be called the rigid outlet. Okay. Last irrigation works, irrigation structure, which is important for the which is important during the design of an irrigation canal, that is the cross drainage work. See, when we are taking an irrigation canal from a natural stream or from a natural river, and suppose we are taking it, we are carrying it, we are constructing it towards the agricultural area, so there will be possibility that the irrigation canal may cross, they may intersect with the roads or with the railway tracks, with the natural path, with the pathways, with the walkways, or with the natural drain or natural stream. So how the canal will be, we can say that, passed through these crossage structures. Okay, so that is called the cross drainage works. Now see, in an irrigation project, when the network of main canal, branch canal or distributary are provided, then these canal may have to cross the natural drainage like river, stream, nalas, also different road structure, different pathways at different points within the command area of the project. So the crossing of the canal with such obstacle cannot be avoided. See, for example, here we have the natural drain, and here you are constructing an irrigation canal. Now these two are obstructing with each other, these two are crossing with each other. So how they will be properly passed with from each other without mixing? Okay, so suitable structure must be constructed at the crossing point for the easy flow of water of the canal and drainage in the respective direction. Okay, these structures are known as the cross drainage works. Okay, so here you can see that basically we have three types. Okay, whenever canal meets with the natural drain, so the cross drainage will be provided, because for irrigation purposes we are supplying different quality of water, and the quality of the natural drain of water is different. Okay, so we are not allowing them to mix with each other. But if the water quality is same and the bed level of the canal and the drain is same, then we are allowing these two to mix with each other. Okay, so we have three types: either the canal will pass over the drain, or the drain will pass over the canal, or both will mix with each other. Okay, Now here you can see that the canal over the drain. What will be the condition? Yeah, what will be the case? So simply see, for example, if that is the natural drain, if that is the natural stream, or if that is a natural river, and suppose this is the canal, this is the irrigation canal. Suppose at this point they are crossing with each other, they are intersecting with each other. Now see, when the full supply level of the drain is below from the bed level of the irrigation canal, yeah, we can say that when the highest flood level of drain is below the canal bed, okay, mean the canal from the elevation of the canal bottom, yeah, from elevation of the canal bed, if the highest flood level, remember highest flood level, that sometimes this term is uncertain, but we have to clearly consider this one, that how much is the possible discharge which will occur in the natural drain. So if that highest flood level is lower than the canal bed, then the canal will be easily passed over the drain. That is called the aqueduct. Okay, here you can see that. See the natural drain, this is the irrigation canal, for example. Okay, so from the bed of the irrigation canal, the highest flood level of the natural drain is lower, so it is clearly passed over the drain. So this structure is called aqueduct. This structure is called aqueduct. This structure is called aqueduct. Okay, now when the highest flood level of the drain is above the canal bed, for example, if this is the irrigation canal and here we have the drain, okay, for example, the drain and the canal is intersecting at this point. Now see, if the highest flood level of the drain is above from the elevation of the canal bed, then what will require? Then we will have to provide here a drop structure. We will have to provide a drop structure, and the drain will lower from the canal, and then it will to raise into its downstream natural bed elevation. Okay, so then this is called the siphon aqueduct. See, again the canal is passed over the drain, mean here a drop is provided, mean the surface level of the drain is lowered from the bed level of the canal. So then it is called the siphon aqueduct. Okay, second type, drain over canal. Again see, for example, here we have an irrigation canal, and for example here we have the drain, the natural drain. Okay, so now see, we know the full supply level of the irrigation canal. During the design we are finding it out, that what will be the maximum discharge in the irrigation canal. So what will be its full supply level, what will be the elevation of the surface of that water. So when the full supply level of the canal is lower than the bed level of the drain, then the drain can be clearly passed over the canal. That is called the super passage. Okay, when the super passage is provided when full supply level of canal is below the drain bed. Okay, and see, for example, if that is the we can say that natural drain or natural river, and here we have the irrigation canal. Now see, when the full supply level is above the drain bed level, then here we have to lower down the full supply level of the canal. A drop will be provided, a fall will be provided, and then we have to raise it into its original downstream bed level. So then this structure is called the canal siphon. Mean the bed level, the full supply level of the canal will be lowered from the bed level of the drain. Okay. Third one, we have the mixed water canal and drain. For example, that is the irrigation canal, and here we have the we can say that the natural drain, and for example the bed level of both the drain and the irrigation canal is same. Okay, when the canal and bed level are same, so then what we will do, but remember we will have to look into the quality of both water. If the quality of water is also same, then we are allowing them to mix with each other. Okay, then we are allowing to mix them with each other. So from here then we will have we will continue the canal. For example, if this is the canal and this one is the drain, so we will allow them to mix with each other here. So then again here we will have some regulator structure, so that here we will have the regulator structure, so that the discharge at this point of the drain may be equal to the discharge of this point of the drain, so that the required quantity of the canal water may not be disturbed. Okay, that how much water in the drain is coming to this mixing point, that much water will be out from this mixing point, and the remaining water will be allowed to discharge into the downstream side of the irrigation canal. Okay, and now see, for example, if here we have the abstraction and directly we cannot force it with each other. For example, see, if that is the irrigation canal, here we have the stream. For example, here we cannot directly pass the stream water from the canal, so here we are allowing it to enter into the canal. Then after some time, after some distance, we are outing that stream again from the irrigation canal into its original position. Okay, so here that is entering into the canal, and here that amount is outing from the canal. But remember, here we will have some regulator structure, that how much water is entering into the canal, that much water will be outing from the canal, so that the discharge of the canal may not be disturbed. Then it is called the inlet and outlet cross drainage work. Okay, so these are the three types of the cross drainage works. Now remember that when you are selecting the cross drainage work, so what factor will be considered? Okay, so most importantly, the relative bed level. According to the relative bed level of the canal and the drain, the type of cross drainage work will be selected, that either the canal will be passed over the drain, or the drain will be passed over the canal, or both will be mixed with each other. Okay, so see, we are looking with the following points. The crossing should be right angle to each other, mean both the drain and river may meet with each other and intersect each other at 90 degree. Well defined cross section of the river or drain should be available, mean it will have some proper well defined structure, a well defined cross section, rectangular, triangular. Okay, and at the crossing point, the drainage should be straight for a considerable length, mean where the two water bodies are crossing with each other, so they may be perpendicular with each other, mean at 90 degree with each other. Okay, and the structure will be straight. Okay, the conduit or the siphon will be straight. The width of the drainage should be narrow, so that the construction cost may reduced. Okay, and considering the above points, the cross section can be shifted to the downstream or upstream side. See, for example, up here this is the natural stream. Okay, if this is the natural stream and the canal we are constructing it come up to here, so here you can see that there is irregularity, the width of the natural river is more, so we can shape the canal into this point. See, shape the canal to downstream portion, and here now it will meet perpendicularly. The width is also less, the drain is narrow, so the construction cost will be reduced. So we will have to look into the economical consideration, that if we are shifting the canal, so how much cost will be we can say that how much cost will be saved through the construction of the this structure, but how much cost will occur during the shifting. So we will have to do the economical analysis. Okay, and secondly, we are looking into the availability of the suitable foundation, that for construction of cross drainage work, suitable foundation will be required. Okay, by construction of different foundations, so boring test will be performed, that either the foundation is suitable for the construction or not. Site conditions will be determined. Economic considerations, okay, that the cost of construction of cross drainage work should be justified with respect to the project cost. Okay, so the type of work should be selected, mean the material will be easily available, site will be accessible. Okay, most importantly, we have to consider these things when we are designing the cross drainage work. Most importantly, when we are designing the canal over the drain. Okay, so we are highly uncertain about the discharge of the drain, that what will be the maximum possible discharge in the drain, because that is a natural flow. So we will carefully select that highest flow level of the natural drain. Okay, so that the structure may not be damaged. And construction problems, different types of construction problems may arise at the site, such as subsoil, water, construction material, communication, availability of land. So the type of work should be selected according to the site condition, according to the material availability, according to the material accessibility, according to the material quantification. Okay, so these factors will be considered when we are selecting any types of the cross drainage works. Okay, So this was all about lecture number 9, in which we have discussed the different components of the barrage, and then we have discussed the different factor which will be considered for the site selection of construction of headworks. Okay, and then we have discussed different supplementary or secondary components which is required during the construction of weir or barrage, and then we have discussed some regulatory structure like falls, irrigation outlet, and we have discussed the cross drainage works. Okay, thank you.